What are profile modifiers? I think pretty much everyone in this meeting should be familiar with them. Oh, someone accidentally changed the background. Basically, they're a type of trigger that indicates that the Revit family, so they're a type of trigger that's applied at specific locations that indicate that the Revit family at that location requires modification that was not indicated in the family. Someone just delete everything on accident. Okay. So why do we need them? There are sometimes unique conditions that can only be indicated through profile modifiers, or sometimes change orders happen when it's too late to make new families, or sometimes the drafter just notices a unique condition that wasn't included in the profile drawings and it's too late, or is just when it not really worth it to request a new family. So how does it work? Basically, how it works is the drafter will select the mullion in the model that needs to have a profile modifier added to it. And then once they have it selected, they'll go to the properties panel and type in whatever that modifier is. Then later on, when they're doing the fabs, it doesn't like show up in the unit drawings per se, but in the data behind the scenes, that's going to be influencing like what ends up in the tag drawings. So go to the next page, 2 out of 8. Here are the 3 main use cases that Jana really wanted to emphasize for when you would need to use a profile modifier. There are some other cases, or sometimes the takeoff team might be going in themselves and adding profile modifiers, but for drafters, these are the 3 things you need to look out for and that you might be expected to be adding the profile modifiers. So those are unique finishes. Basically, if you have the same family in different parts of the project, the same family requires different finishes, whether or not those finishes are to the whole family or just one or more metal components, then you'll need to add a profile modifier. And so what you would add basically would be the nickname for the paint or finish color. So as an example, if we had a paint color of UC 115201F silversmith painted finish, you want to add all of that. You would just add silversmith or silver, whatever you work out with takeoff that you're going to call that paint color. Or if it's too early yet to know what the finish is going to be, but you just know it's going to be different, you can just call it like paint 1, paint 2, and then make sure that you provide a legend to the PM later to share with the takeoff team. Then the second place, probably the most common place we add profile modifiers, is added accessories. And so by accessory, we mean angle or a pocket filler or an SRT or any other miscellaneous item and you would end up in this case basically if you realize after you've gotten your profile set and your initial set of families that you're just missing a detail that has some really specific condition. So where you have that instance, you would use the detail name for the profile modifier. So the example would be 1./5.53A or 1-553A. Just make sure whatever nomenclature you use, keep it consistent throughout the whole project so you don't end up with 2 identical jam mullions with different profile modifiers just because they're like written differently, but they're actually the same. Then the third instance would be transitions and scabbed on parts. So sometimes you might have a transition detail that requires parts that aren't shown in the typical detail. If that happens, you'll need a profile modifier. But more commonly, what's going to happen is that you have a vertical that transitions to a jam. So even if we have a like pinned together family, the takeoff team's preference is that the unit where a vertical transitions to a jam stays a rectangle. So to accomplish that, you need to just only model in the vertical and then add a profile modifier to that vertical, calling out either the appropriate detail or the appropriate transition sheet. And I'll go show an example of that later. So any questions so far? Nope, okay. So here we get our fun activity. This is a project from many years ago that Mike drew. Mike will probably recognize it. And so it had a lot of different finishes. So the challenge for you guys is try and like interpret this finish description for these 3 elevations, which I have labeled, and then copy and paste, Control-C, Control-V, these little color boxes and move them to where you think that finish goes. Can everyone see where I'm at? Yeah.
Wow, I hope I got it right. This was a while ago.
I made sure to just snip elevations. I looked through that. I was pretty positive we're correct. I was looking at the building in Google Maps.
Oh, wow.
So. And if you guys need to, you can zoom in on Jamboard with the little magnifying glass on your own screens.
Yeah, it's just my images aren't loading on my Jamboard on my own.
Oh.
So just getting the dot.
Is there anyone else having that problem?
Yeah, it's the same for me.
Yeah, same for me. All I get is dot.
Oh, man, I don't know.
They try and reopen it.
Try refreshing. Well, someone's got it because they moved it. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can try refreshing. I guess if it doesn't work, we can.
Yeah, I tried refreshing and it didn't help. I've got the text boxes, but not the images.
Someone got rid of it. Okay, well, how about you guys just watch my screen and I'll move the stuff where you tell me to. So where do you think the citrus color is? Mike. You can annotate on the screen with Zoom.
Can you zoom in a bit? I can't read the finished description. Wow. Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'll give you a clue. this is elevation 126, so it's gonna be under number 4.
Yeah, I see the citrus under number 2, but not under number 4.
There was the exception. So,
I'm trying to read my old notes.
yeah. Okay, I'll just tell you.
Right, no, it's the
Right
area
here.
inside, right, exactly.
So kind of the point too, that, you know, back in CAD world, it could be really, really confusing to figure things out. So this was all the citrus color. Then we had, we'll just do this one elevation, and this would all be clear. And then this corner is black. Then on 118, where was the first through second floor openings? It was all bronze. And then over here would be clear, except for the corner, which is black. So, okay, so knowing this, then the next challenge is, I mean, this is kind of seems really complicated, but then if you think about the profile modifiers only need to occur where there's a family where in some instances it's one color and in some instances it's another color. So I guess using like the zoom annotations or either on Jamboard, it for this activity, the profiles that or the families that are the same are colored the same color. So like the family for this inviso vertical is going to be the same as the family for this inviso vertical. So then can you guys circle where you think there would need to be a profile modifier?
I feel like this is a trick question.
I would never give trick questions.
Sure.
I mean, that's why when I was digging into this project, I really like using it as an example because it seems really complicated, but when you start thinking at it from our current frame of view, it actually would be much simpler in Revit to indicate the colors. So we'll see what everyone comes up with. All right, I'll give you guys like 1 more minute and then I'll tell you the answer. All right, Does anyone have anything else they're gonna put on the page?
I was just gonna circle all of them.
Okay, you circled this. Can someone who circled these two, or these two, because it's basically the same circles, walk me through your logic?
Which circles?
The ones for
They
the head
are
and the sill on 1.6.
bronze on elevation 118.
Yeah. So if there's bronze on elevation 118 and elevation 126 is clear anodized, and most of the project's clear anodized, would you really put the profile modifier on the clear anodized head and sill, or would it make more sense to put it on the bronze painted head and sill?
Yeah,
Oh,
the other is more typical than put on the other.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not just the difference, but also thinking about what's typical. But I mean, either one, like if you could do it this way technically, but it'd probably be more confusing than just doing a profile modifier for bronze. Then could someone who circled the verticals, the invisible verticals, walk me through their thinking?
In the picture frame area on 126? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me, because it's all citrus and it's different than clear.
Yeah.
So can I ask another question? Sorry.
Yeah.
So the logic behind this, since there's multiple colors, you would only need to put the profile on just one of the colors and not both colors?
Yeah, you'd only need to put it on one color, but then you would have to be very clear in the detail or in some other manner. You would have to be clear in your communication with takeoff saying this is the default color. We've only put modifiers on the exception color.
Gotcha.
And then I'm glad I saw some people circle the black and then later erased it, which is good because all the corners are black, which means none of them need a profile modifier. So it's kind of complicated. Luckily, we don't get very many jobs like this. And if you did have to have a bunch of different colors with profile modifiers, you should talk to Miss Yana, who just got here.
That's what I was just gonna say.
I'm so
What
sorry.
Java was that?
I got distracted.
So like if you wanted to kind of make sure in a project you're working on, so here's a picture on Google Maps of that project we were just pretending. If you wanted to make sure that if you have a bunch of different finishes that you're doing a good job of putting profile modifiers on them, there's like a way to back check yourself would be to select the family that you think needs a unique finish, and then change its material to like a different color, and then just look through the project and make sure it's not occurring on any elevations or in any locations where it's supposed to have a different finish. Or you could make a schedule and make just a project parameter for finish and just kind of go through your list of families and type out the finish to double check yourself if you need, if that would help. So I'm not going to go into that too much, but those are the options to kind of, to help coordinate with takeoff to make sure you're adding profile modifiers to the correct spots. So next on page 5, this is just a more typical profile modifier condition where some of these families have accessories added to them in the details, and it's pretty straightforward. I don't know if everyone can see the images on Jamboard, but if you can, or if you can use Zoom, just circle the details that would require profile modifiers wherever they're called out in the model. we're gonna make this transparent.
Do you make it transparent?
You click on it and then you go up here to the infill and you choose transparent.
Is there a way to just start with a transparent circle?
I don't know. I guess before you draw it, set it to transparent. Yeah, so everyone is a complete expert on this. Everyone figured it out really quickly. This left jam has an angle added to it, so it would need a profile modifier. And this right jam has a little alligator SRT clip added to it. So I'll go to, this is the little bit more complicated thing. So this is an example where we need a profile modifier at a scabbed on location. So here's an image of what this curtain wall is doing. It's coming up, and this unit's transitioning from a jam into a vertical here. So if you look at this image here, you can kind of see like the detail where it's a vertical and the detail where it's a jam. So the thing is that takeoff, technically we can like model a unit where we have a little bump out in the unit and everything is like modeled in one unit how it actually will be built. But in fact, modeling in that way is not helpful to the takeoff team because they end up with taglines in the wrong spot. And what they would prefer whenever possible is that the units we model are just rectangles and then output taglines that are just rectangles. So the way to model a condition like this with a scabbed on vertical is that first you model your unit, and then where you're supposed to have the little scabbed on piece, you don't modify the profile or anything. You just keep your unit a rectangle. But then where that the half of the scabbed on piece in your model, you select it, and then you put your profile modifier on that piece. Then if you want to actually have an accurate model that looks correct, and so you can make sure that everything's in the right spot in regards to the caulk joint, you'll have to make a little wall and set that wall to a unique type, and then go into it and uncheck is WW glass, and then the unit hosted in there, uncheck is WW glass. Then you can put your mullion and your caulk joint on that little tiny wall and move it into place. And then when takeoff does their work, they'll see that there's something special going on at the little stubby piece that you added a profile modifier to, but they won't end up having like extra taglines coming in. So I'll show you guys actually in Revit because
can I just one little comment? You're doing like a great job, Jessica. It's exactly like you say, more than I expected. But also when you do the unit rectangular, it doesn't mess up with your glass in that low portion, because if you start kind of deviating from a rectangle, it messes up with the glass. So we have to fix it, and we would prefer don't do anything on the glass manually. And it's nothing like you can do. But if it's rectangle, it's all good.
Yeah. So here is the unit. So you can see we've just got the unit right here with the one half of it is set inside the unit, and it's got a profile modifier on it. And then this is that little wall to actually fill out the model. And I made a type called no data. Unchecked is WW glass, unchecked is unit, And then if you've got I don't even have a unit in it, but if you had a unit and nested inside this for whatever reason, you'd also have to make sure that unit is unchecked and those things. So I've got this little guy in my model, and if I cut a live cut through here, you would see it, but it's just not contributing any data. It just is there to fill up space. And then the data that's saying, okay, this is a pinned together mullion is going to be coming through on the profile modifier that is on the mullion that's in the unit that's actually like inside the wall that has data. So, and then how can you go back and, you know, review and check that you have all your correct profile modifiers in correct places? We have two ways now. Number one, there's now a filter in the standard template that will turn all the profile modifiers pink in view. So you could just go orbit around your model in 3D and look to make sure you have profile modifiers in all the correct places. And then number two, we have a schedule now that will pull in all the mullions and with profile modifiers in your project, so you can review them that way, make sure that they're all written out the way you want them to be. And then if you want to, you can even share the schedule with the takeoff team. So any questions or feedback?
Where's that filter located for the, so there's an add-in for the standard template that shows it in pink?
If you start a new project now, you would be starting it from the standard template.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the standard template has this filter built into the 3D views. So if you have if you're working off a project that's older, you can import the view templates from the standard template by you would open the standard template, and we go to manage, transfer project standards, and then it opens up whatever other projects you have. So then you would select the standard template, and then you could transfer in the view templates from there. And then if it's not set to whatever your 3D view is, once you have that filter in your project, you would just go to VG Overrides Filters, add, find it in the list, add it, set the pattern to be pink and solid.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That filter is looking at mullions, so it's specific to curtain wall mullions.
Okay.
Like, the sales ones are generic models, so it's not picking those up.
We don't have any kind of filter for that at all.
No, we don't at the moment, but we could add it to where it does the same thing.
Anything else?
Is there a place where this information is readily available for new people?
No, there's this class now.
This class, yes, and this will be posted. So
There's this class. You can volunteer to take all the information from this class and put it in a wiki page somewhere.
Yes. Seems important.
So fun fact, it's already kind of in the wiki standards. I was just waiting for this class to be recorded so I can link this video to that. So were you gonna show us how to do a profile modifier? Or did you already go over that?
I did go over, I guess I didn't literally show you in Revit. Here, this is live. You click, I need a modifier here for some reason. I click it in Revit, and then I just type it in under properties. So 1551. Now it has a modifier, it's pink.
And so that 1 on 551 just means that we created a new detail, and that new detail that we created is literally like what you wrote in there, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's in one of the pages of the slide. Added accessories. Use the detail name for the profile modifier. So that's whatever detail you made is now, and so whichever way you type it out, I have two examples here. Just make sure you type it out in that same format everywhere in the project. Or if you have like campus projects, you keep it.
Is there a way to check to see if after we've done all our modifiers, is there a way to see if we've, in the schedule?
Yeah, on the schedule.
So we could see it here if there's something off, and then could we just rename it here if it's off?
Yeah, you can. So you can click in the schedule and you can rename stuff. So if this was like 2-50, I mean 5 period 04, and you don't want the period, you would just click it and you would rename it in the schedule. And the way you get to schedules is just you go to under project browser, schedules, and then it'll be profile modifiers. So these ones I haven't made the detail yet, which is why they're TBD. But once I make the detail, I will overwrite them.
The one with the finishes is kind of soon. Maybe just for the sample of that project. I hope we don't get as many projects like that, but that seemed a little complicated.
That project is like 7 years old, so
yeah. Because I mean, if we're gonna try to, like another project like that, I think it'd be best to.
Yeah, I mean, if you end up with a project with really complicated finishes, I would say just have a meeting with Yana first, or whoever is gonna be doing takeoff.
Yeah, so for that reason, like the finish would be something that I don't know, it's gonna be just special.
And we would typically also indicate on the elevation too, because once the customer receives the shop drawings, I mean, customer's not going to be able to see all these profile modifiers. So they need to somehow confirm that.
That's like a drafting thing. Or you could do what Mike did before in CAD and just kind of list everything out in the general note sheet.
But really, you don't really have to, as long as you name it after the detail. It's pretty much self-explanatory, and the takeoff browser is filtering it for us, so we see right away which one needs to be. I mean, you can talk to Eric or Pedro, to like whoever sets up the job, to kind of estimate it. But yeah, all the supporting like a documents, it's nice. Like list is nice. The showing it on elevation is nice, but if you press on time, I mean, it's totally like survivable without it.
So, anything else, guys?
No, that was great.
I understand, James, why you chose Jessica to do this. Didn't do it yourself.
Exactly. I mean, I don't work in Revit every day, so I wouldn't really be able to.
Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty good looking building with the different pitches.
What building is that?
UCSF Block 25A.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, it's a good example for the colors too.
Yeah.
Wasn't that more than 7 years ago? I feel like that was like 12 years ago.
Well, I opened up the as-built set, and that was 6 years ago. So I assume the actual building was drawn 7 years ago. But
yeah, I think we had another one which we already did in Revit. Mike Bellis worked on it.
Mike, yeah.
He did this one probably too. It looks like Mike's job.
It was my last UCSF building, I think.
Yeah. So it must have been someone else who worked on the one in Revit. But...
Yeah. The Saline had also the job with the colors also. So basically when we have let's say everything on that elevation changing from gray to orange, right? like we're using the same profiles, you don't need the profile modifiers. But
Yeah,
only some parts you need it.
yep, we went through that.
I think if you just guys, if you're like in doubt, just maybe like talk to Jessica too. Like if you
No, don't talk to me. With you.
no, if your job has colors, it's like ding 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 alert. Kind of if it's multiple colors. So just talk to somebody if you're kind of uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, and I guess the other new thing from when Mike did this years ago is now you want to indicate the different colors for the aluminum panels. You wouldn't have to indicate them in the general note sheet like this because you could just make different panel types and indicate the colors that way.
Mhm.
I do have a question there. I think we would need to indicate something on the shop drawings to get architectural approval. In some,
Yes.
Yeah, on the elevations, that's what James was saying. But now in Revit, we could even add these materials to the mullions and make little color drawings to send to the architect for approval.
Yeah, this is what Saline did, I think, on her project with a bunch of different color covers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looked very cute.
Hmm?
It looked cute.
Okay. If we don't have any more questions, we can end the class.
So everyone's clear on profile modifiers? All right, perfect.
All right. Bye.
All right, thanks, Jessica.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
Jessica,
Jessica.
you're awesome. You didn't
Thanks,
need me
Jess.
at all, Jess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
that was good.
All right,
All
bye.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.